Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Talking Skritt podcast, sponsored by Game Breaker Nation. We are a Guild Wars 2 podcast, and today we'll be talking about strongholds. They happened. It was a thing. High liquor in the jungle, mastery info, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host for this week. I always love to hear his input, but I always stress that we are just friends. Say hello to Jim.
The hell does that mean?
Just friends.
Oh, is that another Reynolds movie?
Possibly, we don't know.
Go sit in the corner.
Is that really?
Get out of here. Hi, everybody.
A writer for Game Breaker, an amazing saboteur, and rainbow ponied up. Say hello to Robin.
Woo! Yeah, I think I had the rainbow pony within 2 seconds of me getting home that day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I was like ready to like drop the be like, oh hey, look, it came in. But I think before I even said hi to you in guild chat, you had it.
Yeah.
Like, did you have like instant buy ready to go? Like,
I opened it up and was like, chook, chook, chook. I had the gems already, so.
And last but not least, a writer for Guild Mag. If this podcast was Seinfeld, he would be Newman. Say hello to Aaron.
I don't get it.
Newman on Seinfeld, if anybody doesn't know, was a postal worker. So, another mail carrier joke.
Okay.
Just assume they're all mail carrier jokes.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
That was hilarious, Dale.
Hey, it's very hard to find famous mail carriers to make it make sense. All right. But yeah, let's get right into it. Stronghold, the public beta happened. We talked about it last show. Speculation about it happened this last Tuesday. I believe it went live noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, and then stayed open for 24 hours. Who got to play it?
I got to play a tad bit. I only played 2 matches.
Only 2?
Yeah. I was busy all day, and then I got home super late, and I was really tired.
Oh.
And yeah, that was the thing that happened.
I wasn't home, so I didn't get to play that phase.
I was say, we did like 5 matches that night, something like that.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you were part of Game Breaker
6,
Nation,
7.
we went out Tuesday night and did it all as a group and had that running and switched people in and out and whatnot, and it was definitely fun. I mean, what were your general thoughts about Stronghold? Did you guys find anything wrong with the beta? That laughs. That seems like there's something there.
Well, that just with Age when he said like the rogue followed him in through the door. I don't know how he did it, but like he went through the colored door, and the other team's rogue was able to follow him in. So that was clearly a bug and a pretty big one. I know when we first started playing, it was possible to get the supplies through the wall on the outside, which isn't optimal.
Yeah.
I think those are the really only bugs that I saw, like bug type things. I think they have some tweaking to do, like with how the mechanics of it all work. So.
And speaking of Age, he was in chat saying how, because I believe I'm cursed in PvP. Like, if you definitely want to lose matches, I'm your man. Just invite me. I'll come in. I can easily lose every match for you. And that's not
bad, Dale.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at being bad at PvP. But yeah, I think it was definitely fun. I don't think any of us would consider ourselves predominantly PvPers. Would this make you go into PvP more?
Yeah, probably.
I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah.
I'd have to say no. Actually, I thought it was okay, but I don't know. It didn't grab me. It was just more PvP at the end of the day. So I probably won't play it that much.
My main issue with it is the way it's set now. Pretty much the winning strategy is to go all out, going for the doors and killing the Lord, all 5 of your teammates, not bothering with defending at all. which
Whoever gets through so highest DPS wins, basically.
yeah, basically, which just I don't know, that makes it less interesting to me, and I feel like they need to balance that out more.
I would say the best way to describe the map, if people haven't gotten a chance to see it or play it, is I would say MOBA-esque, where but instead of like League of Legends or the other games where you kind of have 3 lanes and then like you can kind of jungle in the middle type thing, or between them. This is just basically 2 lanes, like your lane where you're attacking to get into their base, and their lane. So basically you're defending their attack end, and they have their defense at the end of your attack lane. And then there's just supply in the middle, and you just run back and forth, and you have, I believe, door breakers and
archers.
Archers. I wasn't sure if they were like siege something or other, but yeah, they're basically archers. And every once in a while there's a hero, like it's almost like the skill point things where you have to commune with them, and you summon a special hero. I think one was Tarai Asa, and I don't know what the other one was.
I never caught the other one. I didn't see.
But it's really nice. Like, I think one always will spawn on both sides. So technically, I think if you're dominating the map, you can theoretically have 2 of these hero things that do special things. Like, I think Tarai Asa kind of has like that protective area. Like, if you're in its like certain ring, kind of like if you look at the Warrior Elite banner, how it has that like ring that shows the effect. Like, I think it has like a protection thing on it, and it helps for like the final taking down the guild lord thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's predominantly feels MOBA-esque to me, and I'm not a big MOBA player, so I'm sure
it's like
people.
MOBA light.
Yeah, it's very simple MOBA, not really complex. But I mean, we kind of had a little bit of that when like the first Halloween, they actually had a Halloween themed one that was similar in style. So I'm kind of glad that when they didn't bring that back, people were like, this was the greatest part about, like, I love this about the Halloween thing. Why didn't you bring it back? It was definitely nice that they at least were maybe thinking of it, or maybe they were already planning this ahead of time. You know, we don't know. But at least they listened to the people when they're kind of bringing this game type that people seem to have liked. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, that's when you were talking about it, is like, well, they didn't bring it back for the Halloween event. Is like, maybe this was, you know, already on the table, so they figured, you know, we're running through Stronghold right now, so we'll just bring Stronghold out eventually. So.
And chat saying the other hero is Grim Savard, so that's all I knew. There was just a lot of shouting.
Like, yeah.
Who is Grim Savard? I don't recognize the name.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I would have actually caught the name, I probably would have looked it up, because it's not ringing any.
Because I mean,
bells.
If one of them is Tarai Asa, I'm assuming the other one is a figure in Guild Wars lore also.
He looked like he was rolling around with a cannon, like with who's the one Aetherblade captain for the Fractal boss?
Oh,
like
Horik?
Yeah, like he had a similar model, but he had like a pirate. Yeah, like Tavik said, he has a pirate outfit, but he's, you know, one-arming a cannon while he's going through the lane. So.
Okay, so obviously no one from Guild Wars 1 if he had a cannon with him. Oh, chat's got
Sword for hire.
Oh, he must have been from that book.
That book.
You know the one.
Sea of Sorrows?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No?
I don't remember him in Sea of Sorrows.
I wouldn't know. I haven't read them yet either.
Isn't Salma's Grace the name of Kobaya's ship?
I'm not 100% sure, but that's gonna be something that we could speculate on later. Like, we'll do some more research, because
John's like, guys, the game mode, guys.
Well, no, like, I also want to keep us on track. This is only our first one. Let's not be like, hey, let's just everybody wait for a second.
Yeah. Like, he was a guy from Sea of Sorrows. Moving on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember his brother more than him. I thought his name was something else for some reason. Poor guy.
That's how you could have defeated him, Marley, in the Stronghold. Like, oh yeah, I know your brother. He's like, oh, I did stuff too. But anyway, yeah, I mean, personally, for me, ultimately, I like the match, but I don't think it's going to make me go into PvP any more than I already do. I'm just, at heart, not a PvPer. But
Never.
Yeah, but then you can do the PvP and get the reward tracks without actually doing any PvP, because you can just be part of your team and rush the PvE stuff and never have to touch the other players.
Yeah,
maybe that's why I like it a little bit more. Like, if they had a separate queue, I would probably queue for that and what is it, like the courtyard death match. I've never been a fan, like even in WoW and all those games with like the capture points. It always felt like a lot of time sitting there and just like.
I think I prefer Conquest to Stronghold. I think because I've had the same problem Robin did, where my team would rush the door, and I'd be like, "Oh, there's no one," because I'd never played yet. So I was just like, "Oh, there's no one in the defend lane. I'll go do that," and I just got mowed over by the other team.
Well, that's the problem. Like, so if one team goes all out, all five going, there's no chance for the other team to defend unless they send all of their people pretty much to defend. Because then you don't slow them down any substantial amount.
I mean, you could argue that that's where you start sending bunkers one way and DPS, like bunkers in the defense lane and DPS in the attack lane. If you could bunker well enough to where you could have two people temporarily hold off their entire team, then
that's the problem, is because like you send your bunkers, but the problem is the people aren't actually breaking down the doors. It's the NPCs. Yeah. So you have to send people who can kill the NPCs. So you can't just send bunkers out there.
So basically what ends up happening is they have all their DPS going down the attack lane, and you split your team. Yeah. So even if you're able to fend them off, they're going to respawn and then just come back and do the same thing, and they're still going to be faster at it because you've split your team and they've focused all on one thing. I think one of the easiest ways to do that is for them to just increase the door health. I think that's one of the easiest ways to do that. But then again, you get closer to the WWPD door kind of deal, and that.
Chat is saying strategy to stop a 5-man rush: stop the door breakers because they probably ran ahead of them. Ignore the players.
Yeah, but they don't, if they're staying with them, which is what I was saying, some is people were escorting them, and if they have their whole team doing that, then you are kind of stuck.
The problem I'm seeing here is the strategy for Stronghold in any event seems to be ignore the other team.
I was just going to say, yeah, in a PvP match, the main game mode is ignore the players, which I don't know, maybe works for a PvE or like.
I mean, I think that was the point of them putting like the supplies in the center, is that you have to interact with the other team at some point, because you all start with one supply, and then you have to go into the center to get more. So.
And that definitely did happen.
Well, I think what I would like to see is right now the way it is like the points don't really matter, because all that matters is at the end that you kill the Lord. So
PvP is made up and the points don't matter.
Basically. So I think that's an issue, because it's just a rush for the Lord. I think what would be interesting is if like maybe they increase the points that you get for the other stuff some. Maybe made it that killing the Lord ends the game and gives like, I don't know, like 125 points, like a substantial amount of points. But like if you didn't kill it at the right point, you could still lose the game.
Kill the Lord but still lose the game. That would be that would feel really bad. Like from a game from a higher end ball.
Well, it's not how the guild versus guild worked in Guild Wars 1. Like I thought the Guild Lord was only so many points, or am I having it backwards? I think killing the Guild Lord actually won it. My bad.
I never played enough GVG in Guild Wars 1 to know.
The idea is basically it would add in strategy of killing the Lord at the right time, like
kind of like doing it in the conquest maps now, where you have the one where it only gives so many points. I think that's what I was thinking of, actually. Where it only gives so many points, it's not an instant win, but...
I think in Guild Wars 1, killing the Guild Lord was the be-all, end-all, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of actually how it is in the one Conquest map, where you can actually kill the guild lord and it gives like 200 points or
Yeah.
something.
And for the most part, most of the people don't really go for the guild lord in that. So I think that's why they went with in this making it so that you automatically win, so that it would be more of an incentive to go for it. But I feel like there's got to be a balance in between there.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how else they're going to encourage people to actually engage in any kind of PvP in this. Because right now, like we said, it's basically just PvE, and there's other people there.
And our PvPers in chat are, calling me out on it. It's, okay, Legacy of the Foe Fire map, and it's 150 points. My apologies.
That's still a substantial amount of points.
I was pretty
It
close
is.
to 200.
But I know currently, like if you go for the Lord straight off in Foe Fire, you're not guaranteed to lose, but you set yourself up to be behind, because even though you get 150 points while you're doing that, the rest of the people are doing the capture points and getting all of that. So
right. It's the steady income over the burst points.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ever seen people go after the Lord. Like, I've seen one person on the enemy team go after the Lord.
Yeah.
Generally, I see people go after the Lord when they're losing. That's what I see happen.
Yeah, it's like a last ditch. All right, we need to come back kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, honestly, it's great for that. So I would say mission accomplished with that. It can swing a game real easy, and it would be amusing to be able to do that. But it's kind of awkward. I think it's almost behind too many doors on Foe Fire. I mean, in Stronghold, it's kind of the point you have to break down the doors in order to get to the Lord, and then you win. But
well, I mean, going with what we're like I said, it's like an Arlie said, it's like MOBA Light, the new Stronghold. What if like the doors had like more of a defense, kind of like in MOBAs where you have the towers, like they're kind of like those points where you have to break through, and once you kind of do, no one's going to try to drive people back unless they start really dominating the whole thing. I
would like to see more things to do with the supply. Because in a MOBA, you can get items. I mean, there's another MOBA I played. It's been a while. I still have it sitting on my shelf. I haven't touched it in forever. Called Demigod, and you could spend your gold either on items for yourself, or you could upgrade your team. So you could make your tower stronger. You could make your minions stronger. You could increase gold income, like passive gold income for your entire team. So I would like to see them add more ways to spend supply in a better faction than just spawning NPCs.
Yeah, I also would like to see like if you could repair doors or something like that. Like that would add another layer of interesting and make it harder and give you more of a reason to do some kind of defense.
Because I mean, how long did a match take with people just kind of buzzing towards the Lord as fast as possible?
Like 15 minutes.
I'll say
that's. I mean, conquest maps tend to have a finite duration, unless people sit there and don't actually capture points. But which I don't think I would ever see. That would be kind of weird.
That'd be weird.
But
we came here just to stand around.
It's just something like Stronghold to me seems like it would occupy Legacy of Foe Fire.
Yeah, there you go.
But it would just seem to me that Stronghold by design should be a longer PvP match. So I wouldn't mind if people would be able to bunker with supply and be able to draw out the fight. So
yeah, they're capped at like 25 to 30 minutes, but like
it'd be nice to see.
I didn't see anyone go anywhere near that. Like literally, I think the longest one we did was 15 minutes, like at the most.
At the very least, like if you pick up 2 supply, you can take it to the spawn door and you get an option to upgrade the NPCs. Yeah. I would like that. So that when somebody does bring a supply in, it spawns a like level 2 NPC and you could, go up to level 3 or something like that.
The other thing I'd like to see is like I like that you can be interrupted when you're picking up supply. I like that you can be interrupted when you're trying to summon the hero and all of that. That makes sense. I feel like being able to be interrupted when you're severing the door breakers or the archers is a little inane. Like, that's just weird and frustrating. I feel like that should be protected, because you usually, if people are actually PvPing and actually trying to stop you, you usually have a bit of a fight to get back from the supply. So if you make it all the way there, you should at least be able to summon the thing, and then you have to protect the guys coming out. Like, I feel like that would make more sense on that one.
Well, and I think we got like eventually have to leave this up to like, I mean, it's just us four. If you guys have any ideas, you know, go to our YouTube video, leave in the comments or something. Like, PvPers, let us know. Say something on the forums. Like, would you want it to be more MOBA? Would you want it to be less MOBA? Would you want it to be some other kind of game type? I mean, or a mixture of a couple.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too is the way they're approaching this is their thing to try and help to get PvEers more into PvP and willing to give it a try as like a middle ground between it. So like there is some feedback they'll definitely take and be interested in, but they're not going to make it a full-on like PvP thing. It's supposed to be a transitional thing for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it somewhat does that job well, especially like we were saying. The one strategy is ignore the players and attack the NPCs. So
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like right now it's more of a race than anything else.
What, the only reason you need to go over to the other side is to summon your hero, I think?
No,
well, there's
you
a
don't
hero
even have to
who
go to the other side
from their side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
But you don't have to.
yeah.
But like I said, let's move on to one of the articles they had this past week. Highlight in Heart of Thorns.
Or highlighting the Hylic.
Yes, they were. See, you're so much better at this. All right. Basically, they talked about the Itzel, the Newhawk, and the Zintel. Those are names. But the Zintel have been in game like as soon as. But let's focus on the two newer ones. The Itzel, which are like they say they're similar to tree frogs, but actually a lot bigger, because they were even saying if they were that small, it would just really mess up the game or something like that. But the tree frogs are actually the size of a Norn. So, and from the article, they said they kind of reside in the upper reaches of the canopy, and that goes back to like when they were talking about the maps, how it kind of had the floor, the trees, and then the upper canopy.
That's
the
the other
new
one
hawk.
showing. That's a new hawk showing.
Yeah, that's the new hawk, and you can see the humans in there, and they look more like bullfrogs. They said they're 2 to 3 times the size of a Norn. I mean, like,
Norn is a unit of measurement.
What do you guys think about these bigger scaled monsters, like bigger scaled just in size?
That's mean.
Well, clearly we're going to end up
Creatures
fighting
of,
some of them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they even said like not all the Itzel and Newhawk are friendly to the player character. So we're definitely be running into.
I'm curious about what their reaction to us all coming into this area will be. Like, if there's a storyline of gaining their trust or whatever.
I was definitely thinking about that. One of the things they were talking about was, I don't know where it went on the article, but they were saying how they look at Mordremoth as not part of the jungle. They were more like, and they see those creatures as like abominations and stuff. And I mean, spoiler if you haven't done season 2, but the Sylvari and a lot of Sylvari have just crashed over there. Are they not going to be so friendly with our Sylvari when we go there?
Well, I think it's not just the Savari for them. Like, it would be very easy for them to look at all of us as invaders. Like, we're not part of the force. We shouldn't.
Especially when we're like, oh no, we like them, and they're like, well, then we don't like you.
I was going to say, the problem there is they're actually not. It actually wouldn't be that weird for at least the Itzel to accept us with open arms, because in the article it talks about how they view pretty much anything that comes into the jungle as a gift from their god. I don't remember, or goddess rather.
The god is Mayali. Spirit and substance of the jungle itself.
Basically, anything that like happens to them, anything that comes through the jungle, they're just open and accepting of it, and they just treat it as an opportunity to learn. And they state in the article that really the only exception to that rule is the Mordrim, who they revile extensively. So there's a pretty good chance that they'll actually be pretty friendly toward us. But yeah, the whole Sylvari thing is what's up in the air. The other races are pretty safe.
Well, but I think like maybe the NPC conflict will be there is, why are you friends with these? And they'll probably call them like Mordrim because they probably don't know, you know. And maybe that's
look pretty Mordrim-y, you know.
Yeah, maybe that's where that story comes in. Like we gain their trust, but like they said, there are going to be Itzel and Newhawk that we're not friends with. Maybe these are the ones that are just like, no, you guys are now crazy for trusting. Like, we've been fighting these things for so long, like for how long, and you're trusting them. Like,
I'm just hoping that this is a bigger plot point than what they did in Warcraft when they introduced the Draenei, because the Draenei are like a split race, for those that don't know, where one side is evil and the ones you play are the good ones, and then the people on Azeroth see you and they're like, holy crap, it's the Monari, we were the evil ones, and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, 15 minutes later that plot point is dead and gone and no one ever pays attention to it.
Yeah, we're like, nah, we're fine. We're cool.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you guys are cool, it's great, it's fine. And it's just, I hope to see this as more of a plot point.
I don't know if I was looking into it too much in the article. I probably was, but you know, it says about the Itzel and a little bit about the Newhawk, but theirs is more of like a polar opposite type thing. Like the Itzel enjoy music and making instruments carved from natural materials. Part of me like thought back to Guild Wars 1 collectors, where it's like, give me 8 baked husks and I'll give you this random weapon. Like, are we maybe going to have a way to get in-game instruments for those people that like the instruments? I mean...
You mean like an in-game method of getting playable instruments?
Yes.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. That was the thought I was having, too, when I was reading it. I was like, oh...
I feel like that would be a problem.
Why?
Why?
Because you have all the people who bought the instruments for gems.
Well, no, like different
cups.
Like,
it would be different. It would be different stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah, not literally like get the bass guitar that was in the gem store, but
what I'm saying.
Because it says like carved from natural materials. Maybe they have like, I don't know, coconut.
Wind flutes.
Yeah, sure.
Like you could also
coconut drum.
You could also do, I think it would be fine to do different skins of the same type of instrument, but I think that would still infuriate most people, so they probably won't do that. I think it would be okay.
Yeah, I think best bet would be to possibly stay clear of it, but...
And my guess, just my guess, is that that's going to be an in for them to introduce new kinds of instruments that they can put in the store to sell us, more than we can create them in-game.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you disagree with them putting things in game that are already on the gem store, surely it goes in reverse too. They can't put something in game and then put it on the gem store.
No, I'm saying like, so the Hylic have these bongos. Oh look, they made bongos. Oh look, we have bongos in the store that you can buy and play now. That's what I'm saying. Like they're
I'm saying that's real bad. Don't do that.
But I mean, what if they go the route of basically how they go with armor and weapons, where it's just look like maybe if, I mean, I've seen some people on like Reddit and stuff try to do like a battle of the bands. Like if they have these more options, I mean, some people might want to go for a particular look. Like what if they came out with like the bass guitar, like how it kind of looks like more heavy metal with like the exhausts coming off of it. What if they do that with like the different weapons that you can get? you know, from these vendors, but in the gem store, like just a different type of skin.
No, so what I was saying, I wasn't saying it would be available for vendors in game. Like I'm saying, like the NPCs have bongos, whatever, but the players don't have access to it. But then they put a bongo in the store. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that would be fine. That would be fine.
That was why I was confused. I was like, I don't understand.
I thought you were, because it was what I thought you were saying would be the same thing they did with the flaming tier 3 cultural human armor.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I was like, don't do that.
The only thing that, like, I don't think there would be a huge problem if they started putting instruments in the game that you could purchase, especially with, like, these lore tracks, like the lore mastery tracks. I mean, you get far enough along with, you know, the Itzel, for example, you know, you end up with, you know, you can buy special stuff from an Itzel vendor. It's like, yeah, I make drums. Here, you want to buy a set of drums? They can still do stuff with the gem store instruments, and then it just means that if you want that particular instrument, you got to buy it with gems. But you know, everybody has access to these other ones. In fact, if they actually gave more access to instruments in game without gems, people might be more likely to buy them. Because then they're like, oh, this is a really fun diversion. How many more other instruments? Because I want to buy the bass guitar. I just haven't had a chance yet. Because I think that's cool. But,
yeah, or it goes back to, like I said, if people get into this, the Battle of the Bands like kind of idea starts.
Couldn't you buy a bell for the Winter's Day stuff? You could buy.
That was all in game. I don't think there was actually.
Yeah, that was fully in game. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Is if you make it available, even if you put it behind, like, I guess this would be a reputation wall of sorts, but I don't really think that's too big of a problem. I mean, a lot of the stuff with this rep, like if you do it through like completing events and stuff, a quote unquote reputation grind is just something that's going to kind of happen for you.
I was gonna say if rep is in your game, there's going to be reputation walls. That's why it's there. So
yeah, I was saying
that's fine. Like I'm okay with tiered reputation. It's just one of those things where it's like Guild Wars. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and we've even seen with the when they were showing the, like, I think they actually used the Itzel and the different ones where they're like, you go so far into this, you unlock the ability to fight their champion, I think it was once a day or something. So they have these steps in there that once you get so far, maybe one of the steps is like, hey, you're trusted, you can now partake in our festivities of, you know, music and entertainment and at some point. So I definitely think it would be a cool thing, and maybe, like we're saying, is lead more people into buying the gem store ones, because at the end of the day, Guild Wars 2 is all about the look. You know, if everybody else has the heavy metal look and you're sitting there with the coconut bongos, you're going to be like, maybe I should spend the money and get, or, you know, switch the gold over to gems and get the heavy metal bongos.
Or it's worth it to be different.
Metal bongos.
Just heavy metal bongos.
I'm trying to get that through my head.
You could do it if they were made. Yeah, you could do it. You could do it.
I think those are called steel drums, and those are completely different.
Nope, heavy metal bongos.
Okay.
And that would be a good idea, chat. But I don't know if we should be. I don't know if we should mention it on.
No.
You gotta tune in live. See.
Ooh, no, we're not going to mention that. Shame on our producer for having a dirty mind.
But like we said, the New Hawk, while the Itzel were more of like upbeat personality, they kind of portrayed the New Hawk as more grounded to earth type thing, as like we were talking about earlier. Like they kind of made them more pessimistic at first, but they're very much like, and they had a struggle. They said they came kind of from like where the Hylek are now in, you know, like near Radissum and all those places. But they moved deeper into the jungle, and they had a lot of struggle and all that stuff. So I think it's definitely gonna be interesting to hear some of that, like stories or something, when you progress through their stuff. But yeah, what do you guys think about the Itzel and the New Hawk?
I like the Itzel character models. They're very we already used this phrase liberty, but they're very metal.
Do you mean the Itzel or the New Hawk?
The Itzel. The Itzel are very metal. And the fact that, like, a lot of people might not think that at first, but just the weirdness of their frame is very just. It strikes me as very heavy metal-esque.
Well, I just like the fact that even when ArenaNet has been doing humanoids, they're perfectly willing to make them far more monstrous. I mean, that's why I like the Char. If you put a Char in any other game, they would be far more humanized.
Just as sweet. Sorry. A Char by any other name would just be as sweet.
Or as
Like
furry and sheddy and full of hairballs. Do
you
Char
just
get hairballs?
You just be a cat boy.
Yeah. But it's just it feels like the Char in any other game would just be, you know,
people with cat ears.
Yeah, exactly. But I like the new Hawk and the Itzel are massive, and their frames represent the animals that they were, you know, modeled after. The Itzel have these gigantic heads and spindly little arms. I mean, even in the I know I didn't get to read the article fully, but I know in Wooden Potatoes video I was watching that, and I was listening to that while I was at work one day, and he was talking about how apparently the Itzel have animations for when they are firing arrows. They will actually stick the arrow in their mouth to poison it, and then fire it at you.
Which is
Nice.
awesome.
That's fantastic. The fact that they put that much thought into, you know, what they're doing in combat like that, that's great. So
Yeah, I would say I talked about it with the stress testing they did. Like, I think the selling point for me was the AI. They're really looking at the PvE enemies, like the AI in general. Like you're saying, like the NPCs, how they're, you know, literally poisoning it. I can't wait to kind of get in the world and just, you know, experience it. It's sounding amazing. I wish they would kind of focus on that more. Like, I hope it ramps up with the, you know, hype. I mean, it seems like we all get it from the surrounding stuff. They haven't like directly said it, which is surprising. I think it's probably one of the bigger selling points for me. I mean, what do you guys think?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is I like the Itzel a lot better than the new Hawk, and the reason is, to me, the new Hawk are simply Frognorn. Like, they're just giant people.
You're kind of saying it like it's a bad thing.
They're giant. They're giant.
I like that.
They're giant people who are very warlike, and they use war hammers, and they're very slow, and it's boring. The Itzel are like they're these frog people with these crazy body shapes and these big eyes, and they favor guerrilla warfare tactics. They like to get in and out. They like to be stealthy. They like to do huge amounts of damage in a very short amount of time and then get away. To me, that's much more of a character. There's a lot more character to their race than the new Hawk.
Wait, aren't the Itzel the smaller tree frog ones, and the new Hawk are the larger ones?
Yeah.
Okay. It just confused me that you referred to the smaller ones as being the Norn of.
No, he was saying the
he
new
was
Hawk.
talking about
saying
the new Hawk.
The new Hawk
okay.
are
I misheard you
just
then.
They're
Sorry.
frog.
You can't tell the difference between the Itzel, the new Hawk, and the Zintel? Jeez, like...
The new Hawk just seems super boring to me, and the Itzel seems a lot more fascinating. Like, as someone who likes to write stories, I would much rather write about an Itzel character than a new Hawk character.
No, I mean, we just might not know enough about the new Hawk, like...
Yeah, I was going to say, what interests me was they were saying they had to survive, like... They're more concrete, like what works. They're not willing to make mistakes because they had to survive.
But they wouldn't have survived without the Itzel. They would have been.
No, I don't think they were always allied with one another.
No, they were. It said in the article that when the new Hawk came to the jungle, they helped an Itzel scout who was injured, and therefore the Itzel welcomed them with open arms. And so the Itzel helped them build their civilization in the jungle.
But I think also the story is saying how they had to journey to the place was a lot of the struggle. So it's that gap in between until they found this, you know, the Itzel and kind of the sanctuary of that kind of.
I don't know. I don't think we'd have the new Hawk without the Itzel.
Oh, probably not.
Well, yeah.
But we probably wouldn't have the Itzel as well, because the new Hawk are... when I was reading, I was like, the Itzel are very much the DPS, where the new Hawk are the tanks of other game. Like, they're the beefier, you know.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
I would honestly like to see some kind of fight where you actually either are against Itzel and Newhawk fighting together against you, or you see Itzel and Newhawk NPCs using all of like this new AI that they've been putting in the game to do stuff. It would just be.
Go ahead.
Well, no, it would be really cool to see. I would like that.
Oh, I got a super fun idea. All I want to see is a fractal where you are either a group of Itzel or a group of Newhawk, and you have to play out a story that happened with them. That would be awesome.
Or both. I mean,
yeah, we could use all their attack animations and get to use all their little cool racial.
Let's not switch out a bar on a fractal on people. Like,
yeah, we all know how much Deo loves bar switching.
I wouldn't say skill bar switching, but I'd say it. Like, for instance, if you were an Itzel, you'd get to lick all your arrows before you shot them. If you were
the animations, all right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That would be awesome.
Please write that up as a selling point. Like, I just want to lick all the arrows before.
Yeah, I just want to lick my arrows, guys. Come on.
But I mean, then they start talking about the Zintel, and they're kind of more of the. They're basically there, like they're kind of the highlight that we know. But they're now going over there and basically trying to make all these other Hylek conform and worship the sun god, Zintel, of course. But, I mean, did anybody else, like, as I was reading this, when it got to the Zintel, all I could hear playing through my head the whole time was, "Prove the sun shines through you," like... Just because if you don't know, in what is it? It's Caledon Forest. I think it's kind of like the somewhat meta event there, not like a big boss meta event, but it's like a chain event that leads to killing one of the crate witches. And if you don't, it keeps yelling throughout the zone that phrase.
Yep, over and over and over.
I don't know.
That's all I heard when I read it.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the inclusion of the Zintel was just like we needed to put more generic enemies in the area. Zintel. That's
well,
what
it kind of makes sense. Like, they're going over there and trying to make them worship their god. I mean...
Mm-hmm. It also provides some conflict there other than the conflict with Mordremoth. Like, there's more going on in this world than just that, which makes sense. Like, in an existing world, there would be multiple different things happening, even when this really big thing happens.
And then you find out that the Zintel High Priest is being manipulated by Mordremoth.
I mean, they did say, it does say in the article they put out on guildwars2.com that the Itzel and the Newhawk have learned to not let their dead or alive, be carried off by the Mordrim, because clearly there's some sort of corruption that goes on there. So that's, I mean, it's a possibility.
I'll say I've speculated about that in the past, where if you look at like the Mordrim wolves, it's like literally just a skull with like a vine body. Like, it seems like. So maybe that's what they're trying to do, is it doesn't corrupt like the Risen where it reanimates the body. It might just use characteristics of the basically remains of something.
Yeah, it's plant matter that reanimates like bits of the body. So
which would make sense, because I mean, I think most of the other dragons need corpses to create their minions, or at least living entities.
Or, yeah, living. I know Dormatic, it doesn't have to kill you, it can just take you over.
And perhaps that's what makes Sylvari so unique, is their Mordremoth's minion that he can simply produce from scratch, from nothing.
As you know, everything that they've done with Mordremoth so far, he's entirely unique in a lot of his abilities compared to the other Elder Dragons, save Bubbles, because, you know, we've not really run into him yet. But
welcome to riding on the fly.
Yeah, well, hey. But it's just, we actually haven't gone into the water yet, so hey, they're gonna have to fix underwater combat at some point, right?
Nah, Bubbles can just come out onto land and be like, "I'm taking over everything."
What if we find out the whales that they always keep bringing back about with the Lost Shore, like with South Sun? What if that was just Bubbles? They're like, yeah, remember the whales when they wash up on shore? It's like it was there the whole time.
I mean, so when you say they need to fix underwater combat, I mean they need to make more skills available.
Well, that was just
like
me doing a bit of a tangent, but yeah, that's in the future whenever we deal with that. But back to the whole thing with like Mordremoth. From all the stuff that we've seen from the beta footage, the speaking minions, like the kind of twisted Sylvari that we see, are more like they speak better than any other dragon minion that we've seen.
They're more like sentient than the other ones.
They're more sentient, and I mean the Risen, they talk about, you know, return to ore is something that, you know, you hear a lot, and it's all just like muttering stuff. The Ice Brood don't seem to really, it's basically just I'll kill you stuff. I don't think I've ever seen any of any of Primordus's minions speak.
So the one exception to that, like you're right, most of the minions just kind of seem to be more or less mindless and just doing the Elder Dragon's bidding. The one exception to that is like in the case of again in Sea of Sorrows, I forgot the captain's name. I feel so awful, but the captain of the ship that Cauticus, jeez. My brain is just scrambling words. Anyways, the captain of the ship, who was taken over and became kind of like one of his champions, there was actually a conversation that happened. So like he was kind of sentient and taken over as well. I feel like there was some other like champion-esque minion that we've encountered that could actually talk and think. But yeah, in general, the minions seem mindless. So, I mean, thinking along those lines, that makes me wonder if Sylvari are like a higher tier minion, basically.
Yeah, that's always what I wondered. But I see some people like jokingly saying, "Spoiler: Sylvari get mounts and hot." They did address something similar in that article because they do say the Zintel ride beetles. But they are not mounts.
They put an asterisk.
Yeah, they added no note at the end.
Yeah. So
Captain Whiting. Thanks.
So as far as we know, there's still no mounts. I'm sorry to burst your guys' bubbles. And they're also talking about bubbles in chat. Weird.
I love the fact that they actually had to do that because they either have to stop the people freaking out. I was like, oh my god, they're going to put mounts in Guild Wars 2, and then you know they've got the people freaking out about that either because they're happy about it or because they hate the idea, and it's just like no, it's a single entity. It's not an actual mount system, which they've already done with a bunch of the Inquests because they're a bunch of Inquests that jump in golems. Then when you break the golems, the Inquest.
Yeah, but they never referred to those golems as mounts. Like in the article, they said that they would be mounted on beetles, and that's where they put the asterisk.
That's the verb. Like it's.
But you know, people they get hung up on the words. They're like they use the word.
It's it's the word. No, it's not the noun. It's the verb. It's.
Well, speaking of getting hung up on words, let's move to the next article. The Hidden Arcana, Mastering the Maguma. Made me a little worried because I didn't realize it till this point. In the article, it goes deeper, like a little bit deeper into masteries. Not too much information, but what I found shocking was Crystal Cox is in charge, like leading it.
Kristen?
Is it Kristen? I thought it was.
What did you just say?
Chris.
My apologies.
Kristen Cox.
Sorry. Well, if you don't know, it originally, like early Guild Wars 2, she actually came from, I believe, NCSoft, and kind of really ramped up the idea behind the Blackline chests and putting things in it and kind of getting it that way. And people have termed the Blackline chests as Cox boxes for that reason.
Is that a thing that's happened? I was unaware.
Oh yeah, very early on. Because a lot of the RNG behind like getting some of the weapons that you would want was locked behind these boxes. And they were nerfing the keys, and it was making it really hard to get without spending actual money, and it was still even a chance at it. So you know, people.
When you say from NCSoft, she hasn't been there officially, according to her LinkedIn profile, since 2007.
Well, yeah, she came over when Guild Wars 2 was being designed, is the thing.
Yeah, started lead designer, commerce, March 2012 to present.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, that threw up a slight red flag for me. I was never I was never too worried about the black line chests. Like, I mean, I would prefer like a kind of option to try get some of the weapons easier, like more definitive, not at like randomly. Especially when it's like, oh, get them for so long with one ticket. Now it's up to 5 tickets or 7 tickets. So like we talked about this earlier, but I've never had a huge gripe with them. I mean, I feel they have to make their money. But a lot of people, when they hear Kristen Cox, not Crystal Cox, I'm not sure who that is, but they kind of throw up that red flag of a little bit of worry. I mean, it sounds like no one else is. I
feel like that's misplaced worry if anybody has it. Like, that's just weird.
It was the only thing I could find.
You were looking for something to complain about?
Well, that's the only thing I could find that would have made me go, like, shocked in that article. And I think it also said, like, Jim was talking about before the show, they actually are going to have, like, traits that will be useful in the original world. I mean, how do you guys feel?
Packed Tyria mastery line is going to basically, I'm hoping it's just kind of like a lore line that ends up being, this is what's happening in Tyria, like the rest of Tyria, while, everything in Heart of Thorns is going on. Just, I like the fact that it seems that they're, relatively speaking, compared to the rest of, the map that we have right now, everything that we know so far is being added in Heart of Thorns is relatively small for what we know of as an expansion in the MMO community. So it opens up a lot for them to progress a lot of the rest of the world. So, we actually figure out more what to do with, I don't know, like dealing with the Centaur threat in Kryta, which hopefully we, progress that a little bit, because we've got, oh no, the Centaurs, and, we've got dragons to deal with, guys. You haven't heard about this? Dragons and vines and the Sylvari are just going nuts randomly. We kind of got to fix that. But the Centaurs! So I'm hoping that they have a lot more room, comparatively speaking to other MMOs, to have current content updates in the old world, since the down leveling system exists. So you're always at level, so to speak, and then you can just do the content. I mean, heck, I go do, champs and stuff in Kassex just because there's a bunch of stuff that spawns there, and I actually like the fights. Unless, of course, people aren't helping me break out of the Spider Queen cocoon and I get chomped on. That's never fun.
It's fun for other people letting you get chomped on.
Oh, gee, thanks. I'm sure you're one of them. Thanks, Arlie.
But yeah, I think the biggest concern is if they're adding skills or benefits to the old world, will they make the old world more difficult? Like, will they revamp it, or?
Well, I don't think they'll necessarily make it more difficult. I just, want to see change, like progression. So
I think there will be change and progression. Maybe not initially with the launch of the expansion, but we've already seen some changes happening in some zones, little things. I think that will still happen somewhat. I don't think they're going to completely abandon the old world for the expansion.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be always using their stuff. Like, people complain about, other games, like, oh, they've had new territories and stuff. Well, they've gone back and changed territories, making people go back to these. Like, they truly use their stuff. Like, other games, you're always having that issue of, oh, yeah, like, they have all this, new area and great stuff. Then you go back to those, new areas. Like, have you gone to Sunwell recently? And wow, that's dead as a doornail, but it's still there. Yeah. At least Guild Wars 2 goes back and is like, hey, let's have something happen there, kind of like Kessex Hills. They redid the whole map. So I actually prefer this method. It makes it more living.
They went to the map in Kessex?
Hmm?
What did you say? I didn't hear, like...
Well, like,
what did they do?
comparatively, like, with WoW, it's like if you go to Sunwell, which was new content at some point, but you could always revisit it, which was people's complaint with Guild Wars 2, it's dead. Like, good luck getting a group going for that, or...
Well,
but,
yeah,
you know,
they
Kessex
are
Hills, they
revitalizing.
reuse it.
But that's
sounded like we did. That's why I was wondering.
that's the only, like, it's different in the aspect of Guild Wars 2 is that area, like, who goes to the Plaguelands anymore if you're not leveling in WoW? So a place like the Plaguelands was originally what, 50, 60 zone? It's like 40 to 50 now. I can't remember what they did when they revamped all the old world stuff. But you know, once you level through it, you're done with it. Why do you go back? You would never bother to go back there because there's literally no point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us in Guild Wars 2, we can literally go anywhere and we get, you know, current content, we get our current level rewards, we get relative experience, we get basically anything we would get going somewhere else unless it's like a zone specific reward or, you know, content for doing specific things like, you know, Silver Wastes, where you get the bonus loot and the shovels and the silky sand, all of the silky sand. And it's just like, that's the difference here, is that they're able to make changes and then people are going to go through and they're going to be like, whoa, wait, what? And then, you know, people talk about it on the forums, and then more people flock to the area to see this change, and then more people hear about it. So people are always moving all throughout the game if they go back and make changes, especially if it's undocumented changes. I love the fact that they make undocumented changes. What was the conversation that Captain Magnus is having with Herotron?
Oh yeah.
No one's like, I remember Deo was running around. And he's like, "Wait, what?" And he saw like the snippet of the chat, and he like stands there for probably 15 or 20 minutes to see the whole thing play out, and then he's talking about it. And he's talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I have to go see this now. And they didn't document that.
I liked it originally. Now I can't AFK there, or like do something on my computer because I just hear it the whole time. I'm like, ugh.
But it's stuff like that they just add in. Especially with a lot of the stuff with that they've been showing in the beta footage, that, you know, you're walking around and you actually have verbal communication with the NPCs hanging around. You are speaking as the Pact Commander, and the NPCs are treating you as the Pact Commander. I like that because that opens up a lot of room for them to just put random stuff in that would make you just say, "Wait, back up a few steps." Mm-hmm. Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all their harebrained schemes. Speaking of hair.
Oh my god.
And other things, the gemstore. I like how everybody else's face palming. Aaron's just like, I expect this from him.
Yeah. What else is new?
But they came with the most recent patch. They came out with new hairstyles, and thanks to Dolphy, she has them all like listed, and you can take a look at them right now. It's, I mean, what do you guys think ultimately? And also, chat, has anybody switched to any of these new hairstyles?
I haven't switched. I like a lot of them, but
I have one in mind for my Revenant when I make her, but I haven't switched any of my current characters.
Yeah, I'm kind of attached to how my characters look. I don't think I would ever use any of the new Char hairstyles. I think that was special.
It's amazing you said that at the same time as chat basically did.
Yeah. Those Char ones are something else.
I do like the thorn vine thing that the Sylvari got going on. That was kind of cool looking.
They did a lot of interesting thing with the Sylvari hair. I like the direction they're going for that. The Char, I don't even know what they're thinking. Like,
Is that a beard? Like,
no, it's a
it's
giant ponytail dreadlock thing.
It's something.
That's a mushroom cloud.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
a huge fan of the char ones.
I
I
think
mean,
like
I'm sure some people like it, but it's just not for me. No.
I'm gonna go ahead and quote Wooden Potatoes again, and I'm just gonna go with his guess that they've seen the char and like we really don't know what to do with them. Let's do just completely batshit insane stuff.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah. I like some of the Azure ones. I really like the asymmetrical hairstyles they were doing with the humans, like with the long hair and the shaved side. I like that. It's a very different look. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Just
I haven't changed any. I'm still kind of like I've said it before. I kind of wish they'd start moving some of the older, new hairstyles.
And you can see the comparison, the Game of Thrones comparison there with
Well, that's
Yeah.
the Mockingjay
well, the
stuff.
one actor from it.
yeah.
That's the hairstyle I've got in mind for my Revenant, for the record.
Oh, really? Oh,
But I kind of wish they'd
Yeah,
move
me
some of
too.
like the older like hairstyle kit exclusive ones into
Mhm.
like the default, because it's getting to a point where it's like, look at all of this customization. Give me $5.
Yeah. I agree with you there. It's kind of annoying.
Be about tree fitty.
Now
Yeah.
you see they've released a lot of these hairstyles lately. Now what I'd like to see, I think they did new faces a few weeks ago too, but they were just the new faces didn't grab me in a way that I felt like nothing was new. Whereas with these hairstyles, I think they're really making a lot of leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
What I'd
I'm
like to
not-
see with what I'd like to see with the faces is them give us a lot more older, more mature looking faces. Like
That would
all
be
they give-
different.
yeah, all they give us is just like baby face every time, and we need something with like some more wrinkles. and
Everybody
stuff
loves
like
the
that.
baby face.
I don't know. Like I tried to go for like an older look for my Guardian, because pretty much all of my characters are based off of D&D characters, and my Guardian is based off of a Paladin, and he's like mid-40s. So I tried to go with like graying, bit of gray hair,
and
just a
I mean,
look. So
we were
It's
talking about this.
difficult.
We were looking at the different hairstyles, like the one that you're seeing now. I loved it at the first split second because
the
I
side
really
view.
thought it was a ponytail.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I'm just not a fan of the pigtail ones. But I like the idea how they're using like the leaves as. But I wish it was
And
a
that's-
ponytail.
they're animated. They trail, because my wife she has like a hairstyle kit that she holds on to.
Oh, to
and-
just look.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she was like, she had it on her one Sylvari, and she was like moving her, like spinning her around, and you could actually see the ponytails, like the
Well,
pigtails, like waving.
I mean, in the default Silvari hairstyles, there is a leaf ponytail, and it's better than that one.
yeah, it's not that
Oh, I've never
long,
seen
right?
that.
It's just
Okay,
the,
I have
the
to look
shorter
again,
one.
but I just like
Right.
how it's strands of leaf. Like
Robin, you've never seen the default leaf ponytail?
I don't remember it. I made one
It's there.
Safari.
What?
Like that was my first character when the game first came out.
Oh,
so-
right, you're Mesmer, and you won't play her because you use the random boon signet, and all
Yeah.
the boon
And she makes me
voiceovers
mad.
bug you.
That's like my favorite hairstyle from the default female Silvari hairstyle.
That's the one Sylvari that works with Traherne with the mirror. She has that
Tegwin.
hairstyle. Yeah, Tegwin. Yeah, Tegwin
No.
has it, right?
No, Saris or Tegwin. I don't remember which
It's
one.
one of
That's
those
right.
two.
It might be Saris.
I think Saris was the Priory one.
I honestly did not look at their hairs that closely.
I look at the character
it's
design
Yeah.
because I like Guild Wars art. Like they did a
Yeah,
good
it's-
job with a lot of the characters, so I paid attention to that.
Anyways,
Like as soon as you pulled out like the person that was with Traherne with the mirror, I was like,
I remember the one you're talking about. I think it's Tegwin. That sounds right. I don't
Yeah, it's
remember
one
her
of-
having a
it's
ponytail though.
Yeah, there's a Silvari duo in the personal story. Their names are Saris and Tegwin. It's one of the two.
Yeah. Baby
But,
spinach face. Wow.
I mean, moving away from the hairstyles. What?
Chad.
I made a bad pun.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I regret nothing.
And chat corrects us that it's Saris, not Tegwin.
Oh, it is Saris. Oh.
I knew it was one of them. I couldn't remember which. I can't even remember their names.
But yeah, moving on to basically another thing in the gem store this week. Do you guys remember April Fools? They had the Aviator memory box, and
I'm really-
not quite on the video yet.
I'm really, really happy they put that in.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think everybody was pretty sure about it.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me at all.
They did the bobblehead last year or so.
I still think
it's
bobblehead
basically
was way
400
better.
gems. I mean, would you for 400 gems? Would you guys buy that?
No, but then I didn't like the thing, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I might if I like. It's something that if I had the spare gems, I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? It gave some really silly animations in combat, so it was good for a laugh. I mean, it's fantastic for what it was as an April Fool's joke. So, and if you don't like it, you don't have to deal with it anymore. And then if you like it, you've got your unlimited box of here, fly around in sepia tones and making airplane noises. So I might grab that, and it's really funny if you combine that and the bobblehead factory. It's so because the bobblehead, like your head is just kind of flopping backwards, and you're just like, it's one of the most amusing things. I kind of wish that they would have implemented it on the NPCs too, because I was kind of sad when I saw the NPCs walking around all normal and the players were just the ones with like, I want to go into the throne room of Kryta and see Queen Jenna like that.
I was going to say that was actually one of the things that really sold the bobblehead and made it so cool, because then you were running around looking at all the bosses with their bobbleheads and stuff,
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I thought that was weird too, how it didn't affect the NPCs, and they're just walking around like, the hell is wrong with you?
What is going on with all these people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
know,
for
maybe
me,
that's
it's
part of the
like
joke.
I liked the April Fool's joke. I might get it eventually down the road, but by the end of that day, I was waiting till reset to be like, let me log into game.
Yeah,
I liked
logged
it,
in
but I
like
had
10
enough of
minutes
it.
that day. I was like, all right, this is whatever, and I logged off. Like,
Yeah,
that
I'm a
just
little-
did
aspect
nothing
of
for
it.
me.
I'm a little too. I take my character look a little too seriously.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I can only
Well,
take
did the
things like
bobblehead
that.
bother you?
Yeah, I didn't like the bobblehead either.
Oh. See,
So
I
I
really
can only-
like the bobblehead.
Yeah, I can only take things like this in moderation.
Well, I mean, one of the other things that was in the gem store, which I think we already talked about, someone instantly bought. Like, I'm sure if they put a button in Twitter for this, she would have bought it through Twitter. Like,
Oh my god, no, don't
And
give
it
them
was
an
the-
idea. They don't need a way for me to buy things through Twitter. That would be bad.
it was, in fact, the Rainbow Unicorn finisher. I'd love to see how many people in chat actually bought that. We have the video from Dolphy. She's showing it off. Anybody besides Aaron, Aaron, wow. I wanted to say Arlie, but I didn't want to say Arlie. So
A's are confusing.
anybody besides Robin buy the Rainbow Unicorn finisher?
I didn't get a
Well-
chance to look at it.
I mean, I know Robin would have bought it anyway, but in her defense, if you own the Dreamer, you have to have this finisher.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you can kill people with rainbow unicorns and then finish them with a rainbow unicorn. Like, come on.
Yeah, I might end up getting it, if only in tribute to Arlie, who was kind enough to give me her PAX League of Legends codes, which gave
All
me
right, yeah.
Robot Unicorn Attack Hackerim in League of Legends. So the rainbow unicorns in every game. But I don't know, like I
would say people in chat are saying they were purposely trying to stomp people with the unicorn finisher. So it's
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but I actually really like how much work went into that finisher. Like, it's so
It looks
expensive.
really
doing
good.
it. They're
It looks
doing
really
a
good.
lot.
So.
Yeah,
And
they're
like,
doing
if
a
you
lot.
I don't know if it showed in the Dolphy thing, but on the ass part of the unicorn is your guild symbol, which is really cool. I thought that was neat. Where
on
the
the rump.
cutie mark would be if it was a My Little Pony.
That's actually a good touch. Like I heard it did have the guild symbol on it, but I didn't know it was actually where the
Yeah.
cutie mark is.
Oh jeez, it has
Say
that.
that, say that
That
again,
does.
John.
Huh?
Say that again.
Mark.
Cutie Mark. Ugh.
It's not going to kill you to say it, Dale. It'll be okay.
It hurt a little bit coming, like, it's just, yeah.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with some good old-fashioned My Little Pony.
Jim, you got age mad at me now.
I'm not sorry. I like Hackerim, and I'm happy with that. No regrets.
Though
But,
I think one of the biggest things that came to the gem store, at least I feel, I mean, I'm sure Arlie was more, Robin was more, interested in the unicorn, but the season 2 story bundle.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I know, I'm pretty sure all of us logged in, or maybe might have missed one or two here and there, but, like, I wasn't able to purchase it, but, I think we all speculated from the get-go, since they were trying to treat this like episodic content or like a TV show. Of course, they were going to have like the box set, season thing at the end, and of course they did. You can get it 20% off. Normally, if you buy every chapter separately, it comes out to, I believe, 1,600 gems, because it's 200 gems per chapter, and there's 8 chapters. So 20% off, you're getting it for about, I think it's
1280.
Yeah, 1280 gems. So. I mean, definitely, if what's 1,280 gems, like, cash wise? I mean, or you can buy it with gold.
1,600 is $20, so it's between $10 and $20.
And honestly,
probably like 15. I'd say $15.
Yeah.
For a 15 to $20 for a story that, playing it by yourself, average to good skill, is probably 4 to 6 hours worth of gameplay.
Depending on like how much time you take with it, and
games that take less time sell for $60. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. But the thing is, and then you also get, you get access to Maudry, so that's 3 extra skins and an item that eats bloodstone dust, which we all know is super important.
Yeah.
Plus all the replayability from the achievements.
The achievement and the achievement points, which actually nets you other stuff in the game, plus the Nomad and Sinister Ascended trinkets. So you're actually getting basically, another game's worth of game into your game for a game.
It's also like if you haven't done the story, now's a great time to do it.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lull. Like, they said they were going to do other stuff that wasn't story-based.
Yeah.
But we haven't really heard anything about it, so it's an excellent time. And I think the other important thing to note is, say if you have 1 or 2 of these chapters and you're like, oh, I got to rebuy it, it will automatically, supposedly, adjust the price.
Also, if you haven't done the story yet, we already spoiled it for you in the show, so don't bother.
We did?
Yeah,
when we were explaining the whole...
Yeah, we talked about it earlier.
Well, the very end, but like there's a lot that happens.
Yeah,
there's a lot of other things.
But I would definitely say that, buying the bundle is totally worth what you get out of it. So.
And that Chet's asking, and that was one of the questions I was raising, is are we gonna start seeing maybe possible work on season 1, or maybe on the side? And I know earlier on, I've said this a million times, they have said we're planning on doing season 1 as a story journal.
They want to.
Yeah, we just literally have no one on it. Like, it's not anytime soon. Like,
it's a tertiary project. It's something that, if somebody has a free 15 minutes, let's brainstorm to figure out how we're going to actually turn this into a story journal entry. So
yeah, that's going to be the hardest thing, because a lot of season 1 was open world.
Especially Marionette. Like, how the hell are you going to get Marionette? Though, thinking about it, Marionette would be fantastic in a boss fractal. If they toned it down to like
each person in their own lane or something.
Like that it was somehow like a destabilized timeline and everybody got their own lane. Like, I'd be okay with that. That would be pretty cool.
I've always
each person in their...
Oh, go ahead.
Each person in their own lane. Bring on the elitism. Bring it on.
Well, I was just gonna say, I always liked but hated those fights in like other MMOs where it's like it creates a doppelganger of yourself, or it creates like everybody has to kill one thing, and of course there's always the one person that's not like doing well or something, and it's like other games would be like, why aren't you like killing your guy? That was your responsibility. Your whole like
Well, I think
But
part of the problem other games have is like you have the roles, so like you always end up with the healer not being able to kill the copy of themselves
because
like,
they're a healer. Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
don't really
you
have that here. So
You can build a super supporty character with. I mean, especially since they put nomads in, you can build someone with 0 like power stats, but you still have damage. You still have abilities that scale really well with like the base character power. So it's not as bad.
Oh, yeah,
I agree with Harley on that one.
I mean, some games have done better, like a good mechanic of, say, if you kill your, like, if you kill yours, you can actually go help other people. So that might be a way to balance that type of thing out. But also, like I said, I like those fights, but I've also seen the harsher side, which at the end of the day, Guild Wars 2 has a little bit of that community in certain aspects, but the majority,
much less than most other games.
Yeah.
Yes.
you also can very easily avoid people who play that way too. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah, it's not
Would
difficult.
there be a certain place where they could go, Arlie?
Maybe the Game Breaker Nation Guild?
Oh, where could they have them to find that? Maybe at GameBreakerNation.com? No. All right. That was a quick shameless plug, but I mean, yeah, if you haven't bought Season 2 yet and you're interested in Guild Wars 2, maybe reaching the end of your personal story, hitting 80, maybe you got your exotics, heading towards other things, definitely pick it up. Like, if you have 1 or 2 chapters, it adjusts the price.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it adjusts the price.
Oh, that's
At least
fantastic.
that's what they said. Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to feel like, oh, I only missed one or 2 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to tell some of my friends that, because some of my friends they're the reason I got the game in the first place, and they haven't been playing for a while. So
yeah, definitely double check it. But that's what they said in the notes, and like I said, unfortunately, I can't see it on my account because it's like you already got this. Like,
there's no reason for you to see this. Why would you want to buy this?
That gemstore voice. You already got this. I don't know. I'm the gemstore.
It is nice that they did that though, because like there's always the one person who accidentally buys something like that and is like, dang it, you know?
Well, if it does price adjust and you already have everything, oh, something for 0 gems, click.
Yeah.
Ain't it? This didn't do anything to my account.
Nothing changed.
it also didn't take anything of your account. Have a nice day. Now go back to talking to our gem store.
Hi. I don't know. I'm just the gemstore.
But something that has actually surfaced, actually maybe a couple days ago, was people on Twitter, like I believe some of the names that I've heard were like Mad Visual. I know I've heard one of the one streamer that streams Guild Wars 2 talked about they got an email from ArenaNet, but they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
So we don't know if they're just breaking the NDA by telling it. Maybe they were allowed to. Maybe they were allowed to say they got an email, but just not say what of. But it kind of got us speculating, and I'd love to hear chat's ideas. You know, what's in the email? like
What's in the box?
Yeah. So, I mean,
more importantly, where's mine?
But you got it or didn't get it allegedly because it's NDA.
I'm wondering. Well, no. Apparently, they can say they got the email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I would say I haven't confirmed that. Like I said, either they're really bad at NDAs, or they allowed them. Which I'm going to go with the latter.
Yeah, that's totally a PR move. It's like, yep, we sent this email out to all of these major streamers and YouTube people, and like, nope, they can't talk about anything that's in it. They can tell you they got it, but they can only.
Yeah, they're usually pretty explicit with that stuff. So.
Especially if it's a release date.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, you don't think so?
Nope, I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's not enough information out there to throw that out yet.
Ooh, it might maybe specialization info.
I feel like a confidential email isn't how you announce your release.
Yes,
like, that's
exactly.
That's not how that works. I mean, I could. I mean, if I just think that would be a weird decision.
I don't know. Like my only thought is, a bunch of streamers would be like, yeah, finally, and then like just this giant blast of information along with, yeah, by the way, release date. So I don't know. It was a thought that I had in my head. Probably
what I could see it being is an exclusive piece of content that we haven't seen yet that these people will get to showcase.
The only thing they wouldn't give the release date now. What might happen is when the date of whatever this NDA is lifts, then they give the release date and it comes out then. They would not tell it this far ahead.
Just to give them a heads up to like tune in on this day or something when we announce
like the same day that this NDA releases or the day after. It's like, yeah, by the way, all of that information plus release date.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that was the other thing we were speculating on last night was, when do you guys think this NDA will lift? And some people were saying, like, usually the NDAs last for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, like the smaller news ones, not like an NDA for a beta or something.
When's E3 again?
Well, that's what I was hinting at. We were talking last week about E3, and I think it's in the middle of May.
I mean, but there's also, we can go back to what we discussed last week, how NDA, ANET and E3 have kind of had a bit of a falling out. So,
well, no, but that's the thing. They haven't, they said they haven't gone to like E3 really, but like we said on the last show, it's the internet. They don't have to go to E3. And what if they go, hey, here's all this tech and news info. Come look back at us. We got this big bombshell. So it could be a way for them to keep people's eyes on the game.
Well, and to make a bit of a Guild Wars 1 reference, they're kind of a big deal now. So I can see
their
them.
guild hall smells of rich mahogany.
Yeah, exactly. So I could see them kind of coming back into E3 being like, you want us now? Oh, okay.
What was it?
You can't.
They got like fined at E3 because they were too loud or something.
Yeah, they were too noisy. Because they were doing some sort of, I don't know if it was, I think it was like I don't know what they were doing, but that's the story, is that I read this on some news website that I don't remember which one it was. But I was digging through old articles to try and find this, and yeah, apparently they were too noisy on the show floor, and so they got fined, and they said, screw it.
It's a convention. Like, that's the only thought in my head. It's like, I know it's a press convention,
yeah,
but still.
That's the thing about E3, is it's work, not play.
Yeah.
Did we lose sound on Robin? I think we might have lost sound on
Did you mute herself?
How about now?
There we go.
Yay.
I saw your mouth move and nothing happens.
Yeah, I was
She might have been speaking about the NDA in
super
Arena.
serious.
She was speaking about the NDA in Arena. It's like, nope.
No, so what I was saying was E3 isn't until June 16th. So
okay.
They sent the Acern Shadow Ninja Squad to cut her cords.
Cut the song! Cut the song!
I don't know. Like, I realize, like, it work and not play, and I'm just like, it's still gaming. Like, I get that this is a big business now, and that, we even got, like, serious stuff with esports and everything, but it's still an industry based around entertainment, and this is for news. If the reporters themselves aren't actually having fun and enjoying it, then when they report on it, are they gonna, like, wouldn't that reflect negatively on the report?
So, from what I've heard about E3, the thing that a lot of, like, developers and people who actually work on the games hate about it is and press also, is that a lot of the quote-unquote suits there just don't get it. Like, they just don't get it. And so it just turns a lot of industry people off of that convention.
So what you're saying is it's a lot of the bean counters that are showing up looking for their next big investment.
Yes.
And they really don't give a shit about, whether or not people will like it. It's, will this return my investment?
Yeah.
Yes. And now, granted, I've never been to E3. That's just what I've heard from, various personalities and things like that.
Well, I was going to say, chat, get ready with your predictions. And each predict. Like I want a prediction from each of you. What do you think is going to be in the NDA email? Jim.
I'm going to go with specialization info because if they get
specialization.
What?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, you can give it too. I mean, it's not like it's mutually exclusive here.
Trust me, you're going to find out there's a big problem because I think the same.
I think that's going to be pretty much everybody. But like, they could totally hand out like they could like divide all the specializations among different streamers, and just
I don't
have
think
like,
they're doing that.
why not? Oh no, I'm sorry, that's mine. Like they'll divvy it out, and then people will just send out blasts of stuff. And then, we get this giant deluge of information on specializations, all from different sources. So that was just.
Well, since Robin wants to contradict, like what sounds like contradict the whole thing. Robin, what's your prediction?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I think it's basically like something to be an announcement of a something. Like, I don't know what's been shown yet.
She's the most non-committal answer I have ever heard.
She's the new hawk to your Itzel. Oh,
oh gee, yeah, that's pretty accurate there.
Aaron, what's your prediction?
Guild halls.
I'm leaning towards specializations, like unveiling the rest of them, and then them talking about the Revenant and saying how right I was last week with my lore ideas. Maybe more of the beginning, but it wouldn't hurt if they did the end part. But I mean, that's basically all the topics for this week. We'd like to thank everybody in chat for coming out. Like to thank my fellow hosts. Jim, where can you be found on the internet?
I can be found at Malthanus MMO on Twitter.
And Robin, where can you be found?
At Arlie82 on Twitter, at GameBreaker.tv, writing things, at MMOArlie.com, and I think that's it.
Aaron, where can you be found on the internet?
At Guild Wars Monk on Twitter and writing at guildmag.com.
And you can find me at simply_Deo on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, but I'm mostly going to try to stick to Twitch and Twitter. If you want to follow the show, if you came in halfway, search Talking Skritt on YouTube, and also follow GB Nation Twitch. We try to stream it there mostly. We've had some finagling issues, but we'll always try to at least host it there so people can see it. You can find us all at GameBreakerNation.com. We're not just the Guild Wars 2 guild. We have League of Legends, Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, so many games, and we keep growing with members like you, so head on over, sign on up, and as always, we will see you in the game. Good night, everybody.
Good night.